Hello, and welcome to the Totally Schway podcast, a podcast about the DCAU. My name is Mary.
My name is Luke.
And yeah.
Yes. Yes. It's very early in the morning where we are, so if we come across as unenthusiastic or, possibly even deceased, it's because we haven't slept enough.
Not me. Speak for yourself. I went to bed at a reasonable... Actually, I went to bed at a reasonable evening last night.
Yeah, I went to bed at a reasonable time. I just didn't get to sleep.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get this podcast started. First, do you have any news?
Yes, I have a little bit of news, and forgive me if I come across as sounding smug or self-satisfied.
Oh gosh, I know what's coming.
Yeah, so you might recall, when was this? About a month or so ago.
Yeah.
Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3 came out, and it had been touted as the last performance of Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill together as Batman and the Joker.
Yeah.
And when the digital version came out, it was very demonstrably not Mark Hamill as the Joker. And yet, people were adamant that, it's just Mark Hamill trying to sound younger. Oh, it's because he's older that his voice sounds different. The guy didn't have a vocal transplant, all right? That was very clearly a completely different person. Well, anyway, Warner Brothers have now come out and gone, oh yeah, whoops, our bad. We included the wrong voice actor for the digital version of the film. Someone also said in one of my... actually, it wasn't one of my videos. It was in someone else's video. I was looking at the comments. They said that the physical edition of Crisis Part 3 had been delayed so that Warner Brothers could fix the error. So there we go. Vindication on my part. Smug self-satisfaction. Please allow me to bask in it for a few moments. Never doubt me again.
Can we just applaud Warner Brothers for actually coming out and being like, yeah, we're going to fix this?
Yeah, they only fixed it when they were challenged on it, but,
But, sometimes that needs to happen. Because, not everybody knows about every little thing that goes on in the studio,
Yeah,
so
true.
it's good that the internet can make them aware of that and not call them names and stuff. Hopefully they didn't call one of those names.
Some people did, but
no.
But this is more just a comment for all those people that were absolutely adamant that I needed to clean my ears out. My ears are very clean, thank you.
I can tell you that his ears are very clean.
Yeah.
Some of the cleanest I've ever seen. I look at them quite a lot because when we're filming with one of the Yeti mics, and I look over at him when he's talking, and because he's looking at the mic, I look in his ear.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's cool now. So yeah, there's lots of clips of it on the internet. Go check that out for the real last performance of Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill.
Now let's get into the best thing about this podcast, other than the comment section. We get to talk about Batman / Bruce Wayne. It was actually just about Bruce Wayne today.
Yeah.
Because we talk about Batman a lot. That's kind of what this channel's based on, is the BTAS Batman, for the most part. So let's talk about the man that is Batman, Bruce Wayne.
So one of the things that I've been thinking about a fair bit recently is with Batman Cape Crusader coming out and Bruce Timm and James Tucker saying, our Bruce Wayne is weird. He's like a complete mask. Batman is the real person. I was like, yeah, but that's basically what Kevin Conroy said, and what Kevin Conroy did is his version of Bruce Wayne.
There's that scene in Batman Beyond where he's like, that's how he figured out that he was doing this, because the person was calling him Bruce, but actually that's not what he calls himself.
Yes.
He calls himself Batman.
Yeah, so Shriek was trying to convince Bruce Wayne that he'd gone insane, and that the voices inside of his head were telling him to harm himself. And he said the reason he knew that they weren't his own internal monologue is because they kept calling him Bruce, and that's not his name.
Yeah.
His name is Batman.
That was a brilliant piece of writing there.
Yeah, it's very good. Batman Beyond doesn't get enough credit, frankly.
No, it doesn't. It is honestly, it's one of my favorite shows. mainly because of the juice bar scenes, because that's how I dance. No, it's got brilliant writing. The animation was perfect, and it's kind of set in that, you know, that neo future type setting. And you know, I love stuff like that. I'm a fantasy science fiction lover, if you will. It's not the only thing I like, but I do appreciate that, and I think they did that just perfectly. And the Bruce in that was just chef's kiss.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that I find really compelling about the DC animated universe, so compelling that we do a podcast about it, is that there is a very clear arc for Bruce Wayne / Batman across all of the series. He is like the one constant across. Yeah, he was actually in every show. He was in every show. Even the Zeta Project, he was in at least one episode of the Zeta Project. So he starts out as this kind of very compassionate, maybe a little idealistic vigilante, trying to help his villains. And if they refused his help, then he'll beat them up and send them to the mental hospital to get treatment. Mm-hmm. And after many years of struggling, as we see in the new Batman adventures, he becomes a bit hardened. Still is compassionate towards his villains for the most part, but he becomes a bit more ruthless and a little less patient with them.
Yeah. But what about Bruce?
Well, yes, I mean, you see that in Bruce Wayne as well. Yeah. So you have the Batman the Animated Series version of Bruce Wayne, who is, as Kevin Conroy said, he is the Mask. Mm-hmm. He kind of talks like that in some of the early episodes. Like if you remember in On Leather Wings, when he receives a phone call from Dr. March about the alleged bats in the Wayne Manor chimney.
Yeah.
He's dressed as Batman when he takes the call, but he uses his Bruce Wayne voice. He goes, "Hey, what's up, Doc?"
Yeah.
And it's very jarring to hear that voice come out of that character model of Batman. Mm-hmm. Now, apparently, when Kevin Conroy first recorded his lines for that show, he went even further with making Bruce Wayne more foppish, I believe is the word they used. And he had to come back in separately and re-record it because the contrast was just too stark.
Oh, I love this, and I'm glad that they did that, because it's perfect. And I know I say that a lot when it comes to Kevin Conroy, but how could you not use that word?
Yeah.
Because he was literal perfection. He's what made me like the character of Batman more than I already did.
Yeah.
More than Michael Keaton did.
Yeah. As much as George Clooney?
So let's talk. No, I love George Clooney, but there were decisions in that film.
So why don't we talk about a couple of key, like, Bruce Wayne scenes from the various series?
Well, can you talk about Bruce Wayne without talking about the alley? I don't think you can.
Well, yeah, I suppose you can't. They didn't actually. I mean, because of the censorship rules at the time, they didn't show very much of it.
But you hear, you know about it.
Yeah, that's true. And
you know, even though you don't see it, you know what the story is, and that is a very vital part of who Bruce Wayne is.
I think the fact that they couldn't show it forced them to be more creative as well. Mm-hmm. Because if you think about his hallucinations in the episode Dreams in Darkness, where he gets poisoned by the Scarecrow and is locked up in Arkham, and he has that hallucination of watching his parents walking towards a tunnel, and he's running towards them trying to tell them, "No, don't go in there, stop."
Yeah.
But he's just like running on the spot. He can't get any closer to them. Yeah. And as the parents enter the tunnel, it raises out of the ground and becomes clear that it's a barrel of a gun, and there's red water dripping out of it. And he screams, "No!" as the trigger's pulled and the little firing mechanism on the back is clocked, whatever it's called. Yeah. I don't know guns. I'm English. We don't have guns here. And then the trigger is pulled. Big flash of light envelops him. I thought that was just really beautiful. And it was another great example of censorship, I suppose, but limitations. Let's call it limitations. Limitations bringing about something far more creative and far more impactful. I also really like I think it's in The Forgotten, when Bruce Wayne gets amnesia after being clocked around the head by some henchmen and taken away to a work camp in I don't know, in a desert somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
He's locked in the sweatbox for fighting, trying to fight against the guards, I think. And he starts to get his memories back because the guy that's imprisoned with him, I should say, is like, he just wants to get back to my family, and it echoes through his head, my family, my family, my family, my family.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an image of his father like throwing him up in the air and catching him as a little boy.
Oh,
And he throws him up in the air, and then his dad disappears.
Yeah.
And he lands on the ground and is surrounded by gravestones.
Yeah.
Very really great imagery there. I mean, I don't think The Forgotten is a particularly good episode, but I think the insights into Bruce Wayne are probably the best thing in it. And I just reminded myself, I know I've been talking a lot here, sorry Mary, I'll give you an opportunity to speak in a moment. I just reminded myself if there's a scene where in his amnesiac mind he's kind of looking in a mirror and his reflection turns into the Joker and kind of drags him in. And then he's stood in a street, in a completely run-down street with boarded-up shops. Yeah. And a homeless person approaches him and holds out their hand. And he's like, yeah, of course, gives them money. And then more people turn up and he gives them money. And more until he's practically enveloped by them. And he just bursts into tears. So that scene was added by Bruce Timm. And they said by Bruce Wayne then. By Bruce Timm. Because The Forgotten was what you might refer to as like a message episode. It was about homelessness and, you know, treating disenfranchised people with dignity.
Yeah.
And one of the things Bruce Timm has said about it is he didn't want to give the impression that you could solve problems like homelessness just by chucking money at them.
Yeah.
And I don't really agree because, I mean, okay, they say, you know, if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. But if you teach him to fish, he'll eat fish for the rest of his life. What about when there are no fish? And there are no fish in Gotham. So handing out the money, I do agree to a certain extent that it's not going to solve the root problem of the homelessness, but it's certainly going to help.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's something you see in Bruce Wayne. So he's not crying because, oh no, I've got no more money. He's crying because there's just no end to the poverty in Gotham. And no matter what he does, it just seems like there's more. He feels like King Canute shouting at the tides. And
the thing is, it's not just about the homeless person. It's about everything.
Yeah.
Like, the crime doesn't stop. The homelessness is just going to continue. It's not going to stop. All of these problems where people, you know, the politicians, nothing is going to stop. It's never ending.
Yes. Yeah, and I feel like that scene is sometimes misinterpreted by people. Like, I did a video about Bruce Wayne being an idealized billionaire, and there were a couple of people leaving comments on there going, see, this proves that handouts don't work. We shouldn't give any money to anybody. And I'm just like, wow.
But that's not really... Wow. They didn't get the entire message.
No.
Like, they didn't get the message at all. But if you are, like, a sensible human and you watch that, and it might take you a couple of times to watch it, you'll get it. You will, because it's not...
Hopefully.
It's so much more than just the homeless, which is a huge problem even in the real world, obviously. Oh, yeah. But it's the fact that this person that has no special, you know, alien powers or anything like that just has money, has so much money, but that money can't even fix all of the problems. So you've got this very fortunate person who is also a mass vigilante, billionaire, doing the best that they can, but still, the problems are still there, and they will always be there, and it seems never ending.
Yeah, so his strategy as Batman and Bruce Wayne, I guess Bruce Wayne is there to try to solve society's problems from the inside, you know, because obviously it's the man that's keeping people down. So as being one of the men, or one of the man, I should say, Bruce Wayne can do things like buy up failing companies like GothCorp and what was that other company he bailed out? Can't remember now. Doesn't matter. And then he buys Competitron to bring bring the jobs to Gotham. Because the idea is that, give people good jobs, they will earn decent money, they will be able to have decent lives, and it will bring the crime rate down.
It's teaching the man to fish.
Yes. And for cases where that isn't working, he will go out as Batman and beat up the unrelenting costumed criminals, the corrupt industrialists like Ferris Boyle and Daniel Mockridge and Roland Daggett, and use his extrajudicial means to take them down. And I think there's a very key thing there, is that when these when these companies fail and falter, Bruce Wayne tends to swoop in to bail them out, and then takes these corrupt companies and kind of makes them more like Wayne Enterprises and not so corrupt. He did the same thing with GothCorp in Batman, Mr. Freeze, Sub-Zero. Mm-hmm. He just casually walks into the cryogenics labs and they're like, oh yeah, one of our biggest backers. Yeah, you can do what you want. Whatever, mate.
So, it's not only Batman that has the hero complex. It's Bruce Wayne, too.
Well, they are the same person.
I know they're the same person, but in their own style, they're both heroes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think so. And it's kind of sad to see him become more jaded in the new Batman adventures. And you can tell this from just the vocal performance, because he stops doing the light Bruce Wayne voice for the most part, or at least the voice becomes deeper and a bit colder. There's less of a distinction between Bruce Wayne and Batman at the time of the new Batman adventures, and particularly in Justice League, where there's virtually no distinction between the two of them.
Well, there's just so much, that kind of happens in life, where you just become so, especially with someone who has PTSD, you start to realize that no matter what you do, in Bruce's case, his parents are still dead. People are still dying every day. Mm-hmm. Kids are losing their parents. Parents are losing their kids. Aliens are coming in and trying to dominate the world. Mm-hmm. And it's just, you feel like it's enough is enough, but you can't stop what you're doing because you feel like it's helping, but you feel like it's not enough. So you lose a little bit of steam. Yeah. And I think they showed that really well. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but they showed that really well as time progresses and the character gets older. Like, especially in Batman Beyond. Yes. You see that. Like, I love that Bruce. I mean, it's the same Bruce, but I always see them as three different Bruces for some reason, and three different Batmans, although they are the same Batman, because it's three different eras. Yeah. And I was just talking to Luke about this before we started this, because I have BTAS and JLAS on here.
Oh, JLAS. I've never heard anyone call it that. Yeah, of course.
I'm starting that.
JLAS.
I was going to talk about that too. But I was like, oh, they're the same Batman. And then I realized, I was like, oh my God, they are. I knew that they were the same Batman. But I just, in my mind, because they're three different eras, I'm like, oh, I just was like, oh, but no, they're different. They're not different. It's just like when we have different eras of our life. Mm-hmm. And by the way, JLAS needs to become a thing.
Hashtag JLAS in all the comments, please.
And hashtag totally Schway. Schway.
Totally Schway.
Schway.
Is that our third podcast? Totally
the
Schway.
Dean Martin one.
Yeah.
Schway. I was listening to that yesterday. It's probably why I literally keep saying it in my head. Na, 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 na. Nope. Not copyrighted. Not getting this copyright striked.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just you I think all of us can be like that sometimes when we feel so good about doing something, and then as time goes by, because we've done it so much and we feel that we can't really progress in it more, but we still continue to do it because maybe we will. Maybe there will be that second wind or something. And that's how I feel about Bruce Wayne. Is he will always have that hero complex about him, and that stems from his PTSD. Obviously, he's not gonna go back to having like regular therapy sessions. So he's not really gonna fix the root of the problem, which, I mean, the death of his parents is the root of the problem, but he's not gonna get help for that. So he's just gonna go out and he's not gonna go out and kill people. He's gonna go out and be a Cape Crusader and take those people and either put them in an institution or get them in jail.
Yeah, and hopefully rehabilitate them by giving them a job at Wayne Enterprises after.
But that's the thing about the hero complex is also, that's part of it. Because he doesn't just want to get them in jail.
Yeah.
He wants them to become great citizens of Gotham, because that is ultimately, that is who Bruce Wayne is trying to save. He is trying to save Gotham City, because it was Gotham City that got his parents killed.
Yeah, and I think that's a very key thing about Batman the Animated Series, is that he never solves the case of who murdered his parents. Mm-hmm. He has no idea who did it.
Yeah.
And he's compensating for that.
Yeah, that's a word I was trying to...
Yeah. So he's like, okay, the state of the city was responsible for the crime that took my parents' life. I need to improve the city, improve people's lives, then this won't happen to other people again.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he's going for. And if you remember in the Justice League episode, oh damn, what was it called? Was it Brave New... No, that was not Brave New Metropolis, that's Superman the Animated Series. The one with the Justice Lords.
Yeah. Sorry,
I'm drawing a blank on the title at the moment. But when Batman is talking with his counterpart from that universe, and he's very critical of their fascist methods, the Justice Lord Batman breaks it down by saying, this is the strategy that works. This has stopped other 8-year-olds from witnessing their parents being gunned down in an alley. And that's all he needed to say to make our Batman stand down. You're like, oh,
that's
God
right.
damn it. God damn it.
And that's the ultimate thing, is he is always thinking about that. Bruce Wayne is always thinking about younger Bruce Wayne. And it's not in a selfish way. Well, sometimes it can be, but it's only selfish in the way that he doesn't want other kids to experience that, or other people in general, because it's awful and it shouldn't happen, and it was something that could have been prevented. And I think the character of Batman and the character of Bruce Wayne, one of their favorite words, just like mine, is probably prevention.
Yes, because there are different reactions to trauma, aren't there? Mm-hmm. For some people, they recreate the trauma. They pass it on to other people. They become the abusers themselves.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne's response is, that is never happening again. Mm-hmm. This bad thing happened to me. I'm not going to let it happen to anyone else.
That's right.
It's coming from a position of compassion. The other side is, this awful thing happened to me. I'm going to lash out and make other people feel my misery as well.
Yeah, or you get regression and stuff. And all of this, every single part of trauma you can see in these shows. Because there is a character, not for every bit, but there are hundreds of different types of dealing with trauma. Mm-hmm. You know, and you can see that in this show, in JLAS, and yes, it's gonna become a thing, and even in things like Cape Crusader and stuff like that, you can definitely see this. But I've dealt with trauma differently than, say, you know, someone else in my family that had the same traumatic experience. I think mine's a little bit better than them. And I also think that the way that Bruce has dealt with his trauma, albeit a little strange, is better than, say, the Joker or
Clayface
or
Baby
Doll
Baby Doll
or anybody.
Yeah.
Because he had the means, but he also had something that, in my opinion, is better than the means. he had the respect for himself and for Gotham to be able to prepare himself to become Batman. That sounds silly, me saying that.
No, it doesn't.
But it's respect for yourself and respect for the things that you love. And Bruce Wayne loves Gotham. Hates it, but loves it. And he wants to see it do better, as we all do with the things and people that we love. Fortunately, he had the means to be able to do this. Definitely. And that has helped. But I think we would get a similar Batman if it wasn't for that. Yes, less techie and all of that. But yeah, I kind of lost what I was saying because I was like, I had to take a breath in between there. I was like, but yeah.
So why don't we talk about just a couple of really great Bruce Wayne scenes? I mean, you already talked about the Batman Beyond one with Shriek's attempt at getting him to kill himself.
I want to talk about Bruce and Ace.
Oh.
And the reason I bring this up is because you have, in each of these shows, so if we're talking about the three main ones I want to talk about, we're talking about BTAS and Adventures, which is, I put those kind of in the same thing, even though they're not the same show. But in my head, that's the same era, essentially. And then you have JLAS. See, it's going to happen, guys. Come on. Hashtag JLAS. And then you have Batman Beyond. Each of those shows, or each of those eras, he has sidekick or sidekicks. So he has Robin, Batgirl. Why am I drawing a blank on another one? Nightwing.
Yeah.
In that first era. In that second era, Justice League. Just all of Justice League.
He bankrolls the Justice League. He builds the Watchtower. He builds all their spacecraft. They're his little army.
And then in Batman Beyond, he has Ace, who was first, and then he has Terry. And if you see in all of this, it's about, he wants to protect. He loves these people, but also he helps them be better versions of themselves, even if they weren't bad people to begin with. And I love that, because that is just, that's a family member. That's a good family member. And I don't think Batman, oh my God, Alfred. How could we forget?
Alfred's been relegated to the role of sidekick, has he?
No, Alfred's dad.
Yeah.
But I don't think without these other characters that we would have the same Bruce Wayne that we know and love without them, because he needed to show that bit of compassion to those people to get, basically that compassion is his compassion for Gotham, because that's his way of loving Gotham and giving back to Gotham, is also helping those people. Yes,
yeah. And it's funny you bring up Cape Crusader, because I'm just going to go on a slight tangent. And by the way, if you haven't already listened to our Totally Schway Flipside 10-part Batman Cape Crusader special series full of spoilers, so please only listen if you've watched the show, or if you have no intentions of ever listening to it, but frankly I think that'd be a bit weird.
I'm just going to sit here in my squeaky chair and sip my Diet Coke while he goes on this tangent.
Okay, so the thing with Cape Crusader is that they very much started out with Batman as being this like cold, weird guy, as Bruce Timm and James Tucker described him. And each episode, they gradually expand the supporting cast. So the first episode's Barbara Gordon is there to support Batman, whether he wants her to or not. Second episode's Renee Montoya, whether he wants her to or not. Third episode, I mean, I suppose it's more a spotlight for Bullock and Montoya. Not Montoya, Flass. So it's less of supporting cast side of things there. But the fourth episode is Commissioner Gordon. And essentially they continually add characters that build up Batman's allies. And so, okay, he initially starts out as I'm entirely by myself and no one's helping me. But gradually he ends up building this little support team. And in the sixth episode, when Alfred gets injured,
Yeah.
Batman becomes very upset. And he's
"Nah,
like,
mate."
I can't do this without you. Don't die, Pennyworth.
Yeah.
And I think that's at the moment where it clicks in his head that he is not an island.
Mm-hmm.
That he doesn't, it's not possible for him to do this on his own. That he needs people to help him. And as much as that show was intended to kind of spotlight the solo angry Batman, weird Bruce Wayne type character, they actually make the argument against it throughout the whole show. And I don't think a lot of people have picked up on that, because you just see reactionary people going, oh, it's the Renee Montoya show co-starring Batman.
No, this is Batman, though. This is Bruce, though. Bruce, like you said, is not an island. He doesn't have to be. He tries to be sometimes, so he doesn't inflict pain on other people.
Or it's more that they don't hurt him.
Yeah, exactly. But Batman is not just Batman. Batman has and I'm not even going to say supporting roles or sidekicks. He has his friends and family that help him. And it's beautiful.
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah. I mean, I must say, I will always prefer solo Batman, but Batman the Animated Series, the whole DC Animated Universe, and even Caped Crusader makes the argument for the supporting cast.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I don't know really where I was going with that other than that.
Mask of the Phantasm.
Okay, so that was something I noted down on your notes,
Yes,
wasn't
that's
it?
what I just read off of here.
Yeah, so, all right. This is the equivalent of, that shepherd's crook coming out on the stage and like pulling someone off going, come on, your time's up.
Yeah.
All right, so the reason I noted the Mask of the Phantasm film is because of that one scene in the graveyard where Bruce is pleading with his parents, represented by their gravestone, to release him from his vow to avenge them, because he's fallen in love and he wants to get married and he wants to have a normal life. He didn't think it was possible.
Oh, wait. We have to set the scene. It's in the 90s.
Well, technically, it might even be in the 80s.
We have bigger hair. We have shoulder pads.
I don't worry too much about like the exact date that stuff is set. It's just...
I just wanted to set the scene.
Continuity is just like this big blobby thing in our minds, and if something doesn't fit, take it out, chuck it away, and if it does fit for you, perfect, great. But anyway, that was a completely separate topic. But this is one of the best scenes in all of Batman the Animated Series, and Kevin Conroy's performance is just very, very moving. Just, you can tell that I recall Andrea Romano saying that he went to a very deep personal space inside of his mind based on his own life experiences for recording that scene. And it left him visibly shaking and upset afterwards. So Andrea went and gave him a hug afterwards to let him know that it was all okay. And towards the end of his life, Kevin did talk about what he experienced to make him feel that way. And apparently his father, in a kind of drunken rage, had attempted to commit suicide. And Kevin had found him just laying there in a pool of his own blood and had taken him to hospital. And even though he had a very strained relationship with his father, obviously he still loved him and didn't want him to die. I believe Kevin was a teenager at the time as well.
Yeah.
Very, very, very real pain. You can hear it in the performance. And it's one of the reasons why that scene is just so well regarded, I think. And then that kind of leads on to the other note we wrote down, which was just Kevin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Batman and Bruce Wayne would not be like one of my favorite things if it weren't for Kevin. And we talk about Kevin a lot, and there's good reason. Kevin was a masterpiece of a human. And I can't really think... I mean, Marlon Brando, although Marlon Brando was kind of a jerk outside of acting, but still a masterpiece. And I put them on the same pedestal because their acting it kind of brought me to life a little bit. I always say to people when I talk about Marlon Brando, other than it's how I met Luke, is that saved my life. And I also believe that Kevin kind of in the more recent future, or not future, in the more recent past, has also helped with, a part of my life that, wasn't looking so great, because I got to talk on this podcast about Kevin Conroy and the things that Kevin Conroy was in with my husband, who is so knowledgeable and everything about all of these shows and all of that. And if I didn't put Kevin and Marlon on a pedestal, I would feel really shitty. I would, because they are masterpieces. And I know those are just little tidbits of my personal life, but I truly believe that those two people deserve all of the praise, especially Kevin, because Kevin was actually a very genuine, loving soul. And I actually, obviously, we've talked about this, but when I met him, again, in a part of my life where I had just switched jobs, I was kind of worried that, my new job wasn't going to be great. Spoiler alert, it was fine. And all of that. And then when I got a hug from him, it just seemed like everything in the world was okay. Yeah. Oh, it was also after we lost two of our loved ones as well. Or I lost a loved one, and then we lost a loved one on your end too, which I loved both of them.
Yeah. And it's funny, you didn't ask for a hug, you just walked up to her and he went, hello, and gave you a big hug.
It was amazing. Like, it's one of the best, I've said this, it's one of the best things that's ever happened to me, because there are times when I am starting to spiral, which I do a lot of, I'm not going to lie. And Luke's like, oh, yes, she does. And I think about, that's one of the moments I think about, because I'm like, oh, wow, one of my heroes gave me a hug without even asking. And I'm not a touchy person. I have tried to be at times, like when I worked at Lush, I worked at Lush before. I tried to act like this like touchy-feely person, and I always felt so icky because I've never been like that. And now that I don't have to be like that, I'm so happy. But he was just so lovely.
Yeah. And just a final thought I wanted to share, because I realize we're running a bit long. If you think about the awful things that happened in Kevin's life, they informed his performance as Batman. And they influenced countless other people's lives. And whenever I have any personal hardship, or things go terribly wrong, or it's just an absolute disaster, I always try and keep that in mind, because sometimes the biggest setbacks in life turn out to be some of our biggest opportunities, and they can have far-reaching implications that we don't even necessarily see at the time. And I think that's also kind of like the message of Bruce Wayne in general in the comics. He's had this awful thing happen to him as a child.
Yeah.
But if that awful thing hadn't happened, you never would have got Batman. And who knows what countless other terrible things might have happened if Batman hadn't been there.
Word.
So I feel like that's a good point to cut this off and jump onto the comments. And unless you have any final thoughts, Mary?
My final thoughts are, I can't wait to see Big Mikey P's comment.
Well, you're in luck, because it's the first one.
Yay! I don't joke around about that. I say this a lot, but I genuinely look forward to his content. Yes, let's say content, his comments.
Yeah,
because it makes me laugh with Luke trying to say some of the things.
I had a sip of water before starting these comments as well, so hopefully my voice won't dry up like it did the last couple of times.
I'm going to continue sipping my Diet Coke.
All right, so Big Mikey P says, just watching this after finishing up on Cape Crusader episode 8 and the Flipside chapter exploring it, suffice to say Nocturne is going to be one of the show's best episodes, even if it may get overshadowed by later stories. Must say, despite initial looks, seems DC Comics has succeeded in keeping me and others peaked, all while Marvel and Star Wars somehow failed despite having more public coverage. Sorry, Fantastic Four and a returning Robert Downey Jr. and Criff-U, the Acolyte and Outlaws, the Bounty Hunter game release is a neat exception, though coming from a Legends fan. Sure is quite interesting seeing a few familiar beta showrunner names, Altieri and Reba among them, in the real Ghostbusters credits, particularly Season 1. Also, there's the names Kurt Gader and J.M. DeMatteis in X-Men and Spider-Man the Animated Series, respectively. See the Phoenix Saga and the Mutant Agenda 2-part crossover from both shows. Good thing Harley's Holiday didn't have tragic elements. Well, I think it did a little bit. But I'll talk about that in the video that will be going live shortly after this podcast goes out. I say shortly, like a couple of days. Hope it didn't suck to be Dick Sebast. Would be a big mistake if he ended up working on those Iron Man and Fantastic Four cartoons back in the 90s. Do you know, I never actually looked into what Dick Sebast moved on to. But at the time he viewed it as a step up, I'm told.
A step up from all of this? Oh.
Well, some of those episodes he was given to direct were not very good. No fault of his or anyone's really. It's just, well, ACOM's. But anyway, enough about that. So Dan didn't work on the Zeta project. Seems that's one good reason to easily skip it as non-canon and irrelevant. Well, what about the Batman Beyond crossover episodes? Speaking of Dan and the baby doll Dynamite, I wonder if the staff on TNBA's Love is a Croc intentionally made baby doll wear breast pads when visiting Killer Croc in Arkham. I have no idea. Yeah, Ronnie Del Carmen co-directed Inside Out. Man, he sure has one good filmography. Woe to the alternate worlds where people like Dan Hennessy became the voice director of the DCAU, not Andrea Romano. Heck, I don't even think otherwise good voice directors like Susan Blue from the Tick and Beast Wars Transformers could have done as marvellously. A shame Romano seems to be retired. She would have made a fine voice director to a hoped-for Disney Channel animated universe Omniverse saga featuring Gravity Falls Amphibia, The Owl House, Kim Possible, Gargoyles, Phineas and Ferb, and so on.
Andrea, hello, it's Mary.
Because she's definitely listening.
Yeah, totally, absolutely, positively listening. If you ever want to come out of retirement and you work with the WB, remember, my resume is out there. I've done absolutely nothing other than a couple of videos on YouTube, but I do have a range.
She was on Will Friedle's podcast, I think, last year, and she said the only thing she'd come back for was a Batman Beyond reunion.
I could be a background character.
Yeah.
I'm trying, guys. I'm trying.
There's a vacancy for the part of Bruce Wayne. How's your Terry?
Oh my god.
It wasn't too bad.
I know.
Terry, get out of there now!
Come on. It'll be a bit campier version of Batman, but that's okay.
Anyway. Gotta hand it to the creators. They sure didn't mock their work back in Super Friends on the DCAU. See the Ultimen for one. If it were me on the creative staff, I would have mocked it enough to want doing Justice League sequences that lambast its certainly corny scenes. Imagine a world where the Ultimen were actually one-trick pony incompetents who only appeared in one episode out of humiliating dejection. All while openly stating that working on the show was a cringing hell of an old shame. Just got to be timestamping 3730. Also, Criff, those first comments too, they're just as worse as Morbin time. 3834. Mark's inaction is uncalled for from him. Really, he needs to answer if he did take part in the film or not before things go to a heated end. Well, it's resolved now.
Yeah.
And I think you can imagine he probably didn't want to speak out because he doesn't want to be seen as taking a dump on Warner Brothers for hopefully just an oversight.
What a gentleman.
Yeah. 3910, but I seem to recall that his Volume 1 appearance doesn't have rhymes. Oh, he's talking about Etrigan. 3929, continuity, consistency matters lots. If that was kept as gospel, then I wouldn't be flipping out at such annoyingly overlooked details. At least J.R.R. Tolkien made sweet timeline for his Lord of the Ring appendices, which helped even the 1981 radio dramas. 4159, speaking of, had finished the 9th episode out of 13. Shelob is nearing, and so is the Pelennor Fields. I know what those things are because I've seen the movies. 4204, I don't know why. Panty and Stocking is one of those select animes where the dub eclipses the original alongside Cowboy Bebop, Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, though in retrospect that film was done in English first, and FLCL. Still, I know enough anime where the dubs just aren't needed in my opinion. See Dirty Pair, Aria, and Pat Labor.
Didn't they make an Aria live action? Or am I thinking of something different, Mikey P? Can you comment? Because I think they did. Because it had the guy from Inglourious Bastards in it. I think.
4316 will wait, Mary. Would love to have a book club plotline for a Wonder Woman tale now that you guys allude to it. Darn, this podcast video didn't allude to tie-in comic masters Ty Templeton and Mark Miller. Good luck to your eye, Lowell. VIs are still quite too overrated. When we're getting true AIs like Edie and Red versus Blue Epsilon. The CW live-action saga have no plans to revisit it, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending if they age well or not.
Oh, I stopped watching them. When did I stop? It was like Arrow season 3?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of The Flash and Supergirl, but...
I think it was when Legends of Tomorrow started.
Yeah,
You said that was just too much.
Yeah, because it was so much time. So much time.
I don't think that the red and blue Superman would have fit well in the DCAU. Not a fan of them. Would rather keep more grounded concepts like Doomsday being the death of Superman. My adventures with Superman better give justice to that if possible. Oh, yes. Can agree with play content. Jean looks better with black, like how the Justice Lord iteration and Young Justice did things. I can say this about Veronica Vreeland. She neatly gets her just desserts in Batman The Adventures Continue. Yes, the comic should be parallel Elseworlds, but who cares if it means seeing her get her karmic treatment. Shame her daughter Bunny didn't appear post-Rebirth Batman Beyond, however. Ooh, John Ostrander. Love his Star Wars Legends comics alongside Jan Dursemmers. Way better than bloated Dave Filoni's show. Sure says a lot that Martian Manhunter got a memorable appearance being wowed by a Martian deity in the Neil Gaiman Sandman comics. Can't believe I forgot to mention that in the last Totally Schway. Neither can I. In fact, I'm disappointed. Furious, in fact. No, I'm kidding.
I could never be disappointed in Big Mikey P.
Got nothing personally definitive on who to use the lasso of truth on. The Bat family may function quite well with Yuki Kajiura tracks. Highly recommend giving the OSTs of the B-Train Girls with Guns trilogy. Canta Perme, Salva Nos for Noir, Nowhere, Margaret or Margaret for Madlax, and L.A. Inca Rose for El Cazador de la Bruja are favourites. Puella, Magi, Madoka Magica. Cispuella Magica, Venari Strigas, Salve Terre Magicae, Gradius you're just testing me now. Gradius Prohibitus, Punga Cum Maga, Agmen Clientum, Puella Insomnio, and Mum Quam Vincar. Nuff said. A musical visit on YouTube. I feel like I was just doing some sort of secret black magic spell. If I've summoned a demon somewhere, blame Big Mikey P. If Solomon Grundy ends up knocking on our door.
Oh my god, could you imagine? I'd be his best friend.
Not with the ferocious Solomon Grundy.
No, I would still be like, you're my friend.
Grundy, please.
You're still my friend.
Say what anyone will of The Legend of Korra, Steve Bloom is right. Andrea Romano sure did well in voice directing the show, enough that element is not worth criticising. First character not on the DCAU show should be Ted Cord Blue Beetle from The Brave and the Bold. For a dead hero, he left a bittersweet legacy. Things change. That's how one can view Bruce Wayne in so many ways. And that is the conclusion of Big Mikey P's essay. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did. I always enjoy it.
Good. Next, we have Lowell Lucas Jr.
Oh, how are you doing? By the way, tell me all about it.
I just want to thank you both for recognising the great talent behind BTAS as well as the DCAU. Whether it be Ted Blackman, Altieri, Dan Rebo, and Murakami, you've done great to their contribution to the great narrative that's already loved by all. I also want to give love to Andrea Romano, as she has recognised some amazing voice talent, and anything with her name on it has been pure gold.
Our Lord and Saviour.
Then to Mary, yes, I too enjoyed Harley's Holiday, as it was a perfect blend of humour, action and emotional turmoil for our favourite clown queen. That was hard for me to say. As a kid, I realised it was the most obvious episode that showcased the same team behind Tiny Toons was on BTAS, on the Bat side, and I loved it. To Luke, yes, Trial, Epilogue, Baby Doll, House of Garden have some great raw emotions and really push storytelling into a whole new direction. I friggin' loved every minute of it. Mary, I hope you get to feeling better, and thank you both for the awesome podcast for the Cape Crusader. I had to make sure I watched every episode first before I listened to commentary, and it was definitely a perfect compilation. Well done for doing it right. Some people didn't. Yeah. No shaming anyone, but some people came in and left comments going, I haven't watched this show, but here's what I think about it. I'm like, okay.
Oh, I am feeling much better, by the way. It turns out that time really does heal, and I can actually talk now.
And just to finish off Lower Lucas Jr.'s comment, he says, I'm going back to rewatch it again, and I wanted to thank you both for such hard work you put into the podcast and making it fun and awesome.
It's really all Luke, to be fair.
It's all me.
Yeah, because I stole just a little putting this out there for my channel now. If you want to see anything about Harley Quinn, apparently I stole Serum Lake's video.
Yeah, that was a funny comment, wasn't it?
It was really funny.
Yeah, there's no ill will intended.
No, I know.
They're just like,
funny.
Why are you using Serum Lake's thumbnail template? I chimed in and said, because I edited this video.
Yeah, damn, they've got my editor and my director.
Next comment is play content.
Hey, Play.
What you say about the Baby Dolls episode's delicate tonal balance actually applies to almost the whole show too. I think the weaker episodes are the ones that misbalance tone. Not that the following paragraph is entirely on topic, it's almost not remotely on topic, but Mary was right about the Coraline pronunciation and the button eyes. Coraline's being re-released in cinemas really soon, actually. If it's shown near you, I imagine it would be if they're showing it in Wales. They're probably showing it everywhere. It's really worth going to, even though it's from 2009, so Montgomery Clift isn't in it. Oh, I'll send it back, sorry.
No, I think they are showing that at... It's either the cinema that's one place away from us or the cinema by where I work.
You just reminded me of something. So for the month of September, a lot of Batman movies are coming back to cinemas. I know in the UK, and I think they are in the US as well. A cinema not too far from us in London is screening Mask of the Phantasm. So Mary and I are going to go see that on the big screen for the first time.
Not a couple weeks' time now.
Yeah, I may end up crying, but we'll see.
Didn't cry at her wedding or anything like that, but hey.
No, but as soon as I hear that saxophone from I Never Even Told You, I'll just be like, oh!
I never told you.
All right, next we have Harry Flew TV 666 says, hello, Luke and Mary. Thanks for reading my comment, and I hope your week has been great. I love the Batman animated series so much that I hum and whistle the character theme songs as I'm creating my own Batman series that takes inspiration from the animated series. I also love it so much that two of my characters from my book series, the My Ex is a Vampire series, take inspiration from Harvey Dent and Victor Fries. P.S. Listening to your podcast and your banter is so wholesome. I honestly think if you had kids, you'd make great parents. Have a great day/week, you too.
Hey, I have to tell you, we are parents to 3 beautiful children. We have 2 11-year-olds and 1 2-year-old. Gilgamesh is the 2-year-old, and Apollo and Thor are the 11-year-old.
They're cats.
They're our fur babies.
My last name is pronounced Flu TV. I don't know what I said last time, but I think I said that this time. And I love when Luke calls bigots worm because it always makes me think of horrid Henry calling his younger brother Perfect Peter the same insult.
Worm.
It's more like bigot, sycophant, ingrate,
Worm.
I wish Ian McKellen was on Cameo because I would pay him money to deliver that line, and then I would just upload it to YouTube, and whenever we get those stupid bigoted comments, I'll just link to it and say, Ian McKellen wants a word with you. That would be perfect. Maybe we'll go by his pub, which isn't actually very far from us, see if we can find him, put a camera in his face, go, Ian McKellen.
I wouldn't recommend doing that.
No, I wouldn't either. You'd probably get chucked out.
Ian McKellen is one of the sweetest creatures I've ever met in my life. Even though I briefly met him, he is phenomenal, and he already gives so much. He does not need to give more than that.
I thought it was very funny when we went to see his 80th birthday
One-man show.
One-man show, yeah. He had to explain to the audience who Stan Lee was, and Mary and I were looking at each other like, who doesn't know who Stan Lee is? And there were all these people going,
Yeah.
Like, are we in the right place?
By the way, this is at a theater where you could rent, right on your seat, you could rent the little theater glasses.
Yeah, almost like little binoculars.
So it kind of shows you the type of person that will go there is the type of person that probably has like a membership to this theater.
Maybe. I mean, they spent most of the evening talking about Shakespeare plays, didn't they?
I loved it.
Whereas we were there going, talk about Lord of the Rings, talk about X-Men.
Yeah, X-Men.
Yeah, I know. I mentioned to him that he told me where I could go and make a donation using a contactless payment.
The bar.
And I said, I'm not going to deny the Master of Magnetism. And he just looked at me like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, I'll get my coat.
I'll go home.
Anyway, moving on to David Carney's comment. Hello, David.
Hi, Dave.
Hope you both had a great week. Got my photo taken next to Michael Keaton's Batmobile yesterday. Oh, was that at the
Nice.
Batman, what is it, Unmasked or is it Unleashed? The Batman event in Manchester, possibly.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah. For me, Andrea Romano put together the perfect cast for Batman. Same favourites are Harley's Holiday, Heart of Ice, and Two-Face Part 1 and 2. Really enjoyed Batman Cape Crusader podcast. Will you be covering any other shows? Well,
Penguin.
yeah, I think we're going to do some flip-side episodes about the Penguin show. So I'm assuming we like it. If we don't like it, then maybe
We'll tell you.
We'll just say, I don't like this. We're not going to
But
keep going.
I'm a fan of Colin Farrell. Even though when I was watching, I have to be honest with this because I was super busy when the Batman came out. As in super busy with like work and stuff like that. I had no idea that the Penguin was Colin Farrell until Luke said when I think we were on our way home and he mentioned it. I was like, say what? That was who? And I was just flabbergasted that I didn't know. But I'm a big fan of Colin Farrell, so hopefully this will be good. And it's from the team that did The Sopranos? No?
Well, it's allegedly the same, because it's on HBO, they say, from the producers of, but it's not really. It's the same people that did the Batman.
I typically like a lot of HBO shows.
Yeah. Next we have Defuxa, who says, Bruce Wayne, the man or the mask?
Or the man of the year that wears a mask.
Yes. I mean, I think that it's identity is a very complicated subject, and no two people have exactly the same. Exactly the same identities and the makeup of their identities. I mean, so for Bruce Wayne, he kind of presents himself as a certain way in public, but we all do that to a certain extent.
I was about to say I've got. My therapist has mentioned something along the lines of like sometimes you react differently to different people. So I take it as I have for different people. I have different identities. And it's not that I'm lying to them or anything. It's just portions of my identity that I show to them.
Mm. Well, like for instance, you might speak one way to a close friend, but if you're talking to, say, your boss, you might speak in a slightly different way. You might have a more diplomatic reaction. I don't always, and maybe that's a problem. But
for me, I'll be more Southern because that's who I truly am. But when I'm talking like this, it's usually because I don't know a lot of people, and I also don't want people to make fun of my accent. So I'm a different person not different person. I'm a different identity to you guys listening to this.
Anyway, that was a big rambly answer
Thanks
to
for
that
coming
question.
to my TED Talk. And if you would like to know about space dust, join me next week.
Okay, so next we have Captain Al says, hello, Captain. He says a belated happy birthday to the podcast and a warm congratulations to everyone who ever worked on the DCAU. I agree. Congratulations to all of them. I was a film student and can personally attest to how difficult it is making multimedia. As you said, every name in the credits is there for a reason. Everyone worked on the project and they were all important. Collaborative art is complicated and things break all the time during massive productions with so many moving parts. It's a miracle anything like a Hollywood picture ever sees the light of day, let alone comes out good, so I genuinely find it important to appreciate all the people who make our media possible. Without countless writers, artists, performers, technicians, producers, custodians and caterers, seriously, never underestimate the importance of food during a production, never ever. We couldn't enjoy most of the entertainment that helps us get through the week. Not film, video games, radio, comics, or a haunted house.
Word!
And for every bomb at the box office you've ever seen, there's anywhere from 100 to 1,000 people who did everything right on the production, only to have one bad editor, one selfish executive, one computer glitch, or one off day of recording wreck it all. It's incredible TV and movies even happen. You can probably guess I'm one of those people who sits through the credits after the movie. I have to. I work long and hard hours to make art, and I've been able to enjoy my own name in a credit roll fewer times than the fingers on one hand. I don't expect everyone else to, but all those artists and working Joes deserve someone's time and appreciation. I've got nothing to show for my blood, sweat and tears. Now imagine being one of those directors or sound mixers with everything to show for it, a decade's worth of masterclass storytelling, and still being forgotten. Imagine being one of the many who don't even get a credit despite being integral. Thank you for praising everyone. I wish we could thank every single person who ever lit a set or printed a schedule. The most impressive and inspiring person I ever worked with was the lighting guy. Not the director or writer, the guy pointing light bulbs at an actor. We once literally gave him a trophy for it. MVP on every shoot. Sorry, I'm rambling like a crazy person at this point. But it's only because I care so much that someone else cares.
You know what? That's not crazy. That's passion, compassion, and love. And let me tell you, we should all be like that. Because like you said, we cannot do anything without the people that make things with us. Like, I couldn't do this podcast without Luke. And on BTAS, you absolutely know, if Andrea didn't have her assistant, and that assistant didn't have people to go to, and so on and so on and so on, there would be no great BTAS. It would just be another show lost in the millions of other shows. Those shows still deserve our kudos, but
Yeah.
we still need to thank everyone and just be so supportive of not just, Bruce Timm. I know I've said stuff about Bruce Timm, as in, like, he's not the only person. He's not the only person that was on this show, or that helped create this show. There's so many other people. That's not saying Bruce is a bad person. Definitely, I don't think so. I think he's probably pretty cool, because all of the stuff that he has helped make quite huge.
If you think about all of the people whose careers he's launched over the years.
Beautiful.
Just by association.
Yeah. And the thing is, he would probably be one of the first people to tell you, can't do it without them.
Yeah. In the Batman animated book, which was released, about 25 years ago now, in his opening remarks, he says, it's not just me. Yeah. It's a list of all of the people that worked on it, and they're all important. And it must be kind of frustrating for him to just have everything attributed to him. Like, all the people going, aha, it was Bruce Timm that made Batgirl kiss Batman in the Killing Joke movie. I mean, he approved it. He was involved in the conversation, but it wasn't just him in isolation. And anytime there's anything controversial, like all the people going, oh, it's Bruce Timm's fault that the Penguin's a woman now. Like, what are you talking about? What do you mean that's fault?
It's a collaboration. And just like you said, everything, we should all look. I mean, I'm one of those people that I usually have to pee at the end of a movie. I'm going to be honest with you. Let's actually be honest. I usually have to pee because I drink a large Diet Coke or something. I usually have to pee, but I could wait the 3 to 5 minutes it takes to watch the credits. Because all of those people deserve a little bit of my time.
Well, there's something to be said for the Marvel movies then, isn't it? For training people to sit through the credits.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. But this is about the DCAU.
Yeah. So I think, I can see that shepherd's crook coming out again, trying to pull us off. Going, come on, comments are over. Wrap it up. You're over an hour now. But wait, before we go, a last-minute comment comes in immediately after we finish recording. But we're going to talk about it anyway, aren't we?
Yeah.
So it's a chicken update. It's a chicken update from Screen Wiper.
Yes, of course we have to listen to it.
Who says, chickens. Wilma and Betty have adapted well to living without their mum, Blue. Aww. I still get sad about her being gone, though. Betty's feathers have regrown beautifully in the last couple of weeks after loads of them fell out due to the hormones I had to put her on for health reasons. She's so fluffy now.
Oh.
Wilma doesn't normally try to pull Betty's feather out, which is good, and when she does, she doesn't normally need more than me yelling, "Oi, Wilma, no!" and she stops. Though a couple of days ago she didn't stop, and after ignoring being told 3 times, and she understood what I had said, I had to put her in the brick for an hour to calm down. She has behaved very well since then. Had some sunny weather, so I've been sunbathing on my new sunbed when work doesn't stop me. Wilma and Betty seem to really enjoy when I do this, and they sit down under the bed when I'm on it, especially Betty. As an egg layer, Wilma gets hungrier, so hunts and forages for food more. I'm glad they seem healthy and are generally behaving well, because they're probably going to be foster mums or at least big foster sisters to some new rescue hens in early September. That's still to be arranged. Details aren't all known yet, so isn't confirmed as of writing.
Oh, thank you so much for the update. I was actually thinking about it when I was at work the other day. I think it was like 6:30 in the morning, and I was pre-retailing stuff. I was like, I wonder how bad Hulu are doing. I was thinking that, and I was like, I bet you they're doing really good. They're probably asleep right now. Probably doing really good.
21 minutes and 32 seconds. If calling Gotham a character in its own right sounds too pretentious for you, you could instead try saying Gotham has character. Estate agents say that about places all the time, and sometimes it's true.
Gotham is a character.
1 hour, 1 minute and 26 seconds. If I could shapeshift, I'd turn into a chicken just to see the looks on the faces of my chickens. LOL. If the shapeshift gives me the ability to communicate with them better, that makes it an even better idea.
Yeah. Oh my god. Just shape-shifting would be great. It would be great. You know who I would turn into? I'm gonna say another one.
Okay.
Panther.
Just a panther.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why. Did I say cat last time? I
I
forget
can't.
now.
I think we said tigers.
Yeah.
I think we did.
I watching some of the stuff I watch on TikTok is just cats now. It's cats.
Oh, here comes that shepherd's crook again. Whoa! So all that's left to do is say thanks to everyone for listening. And what are we talking about next time, Mary?
We're talking about the penguin.
Yeah, a bit of synergy with the upcoming penguin show. We're going to talk about the DCAU penguin.
And we might just talk about Lady Penguin.
Oh, yeah. She finds her way coming up quite a bit these days.
I love her, though. I just wanted... I know this isn't on my channel, but I just want to say thank you guys so much. I know I did a little post about it on my YouTube channel, but I'm past 300 subscribers, and that's amazing to me. And I just want to say thank you guys, because I know a lot of you guys listen to this that listen to this podcast also go over to my channel and listen to my stuff and watch some of my stuff. So thank you guys so much. I see all of your comments. I might not reply to them straight away, but I will get there eventually. I'm an anxious person. That like this morning I took 3 minutes to reply. Woo. Or something like ha ha ha. But thank you guys so much. I am so genuinely in awe, because I've got 300 friends that I can actually talk to that don't think I'm weirdo, or I'm a weirdo in a good way, and that I'm not just some like plus size lady trying to get attention or whatever, you know. I genuinely think that we can have conversations, and I'm gonna stop blabbing my mouth because I'm getting anxious and all of that and overwhelmed. So thank you so much, and I love you guys. And I really, really hope y'all have a great day. And remember, #JLass.